What's going on, guys? Chris back here. New episode of the Three Amigos podcast. It's just me today, and I figured since I'm going solo, I wanted to talk about WWE's upcoming premium live event, Crown Jewel. We got an updated match card. I want to give you guys some predictions and just discuss this show in general because it's an interesting show. The last few Crown Jewel events, they're kind of being used in an interesting way. For the most part, it's not usually anything too major on these shows. They're at a very strange time. I think it's like in the afternoon or in the morning. And a lot of the times it's been treated as a house show, although we did have Bray Wyatt win the Universal title, I believe, off of Seth Rollins, which is an interesting decision to do at Crown Jewel event. But we've got the updated card, and I'm going to be honest, while the show as a whole doesn't really interest me that much, I think there are some really, really good matches, at least some matches with some incredibly high potential to be absolute bangers. And we're going to start off with one that was just recently added, which is an interesting decision. But the new women's tag champs, Asuka and Alexa Bliss, are going to be defending their titles against Io Sky and Dakota Kai. I'm going to be completely honest. If I had to pinpoint one thing that I think Triple H is kind of botching right now, it's this Bayley, Io, Dakota faction. It's the women's tag belts. I don't really know what's going on. They should have won the tournament. They didn't. They went to Raquel and Aaliyah. Here we are now. It's a couple months later. Io and Dakota lose again. They had won the titles. Now they lose them. And it's confusing. I think that, Asuka's great. Alexa Bliss is okay right now. She's kind of being put in an interesting spot. But it's just really bizarre. I don't think that they're going to hotshot the titles again back and forth. I mean, they could. I just think these titles are kind of at a weird position where now I don't really care who wins. And it's weird to have a faction like Bayley, Io, and Dakota, and to have them just basically be a group of losers, which is kind of bizarre. I would say Asuka and Alexa because I don't foresee them flipping the titles again. Next up, we've got the Usos versus the Brawling Brutes for the Tag Team Championships. I think this has a lot of potential to be match of the night, although there are a couple other matches on here that have that potential as well. I'm going to go Usos. I'm going to be honest, the Brawling Brutes have really grown on me. I was not a fan when Vince McMahon was in charge because it just felt like he was putting a bunch of the European guys in the same group. And as soon as Triple H took over and let Pete Dunne put on his regular wrestling attire and not his stupid newsboy outfit, I'm kind of all in on this group. Sheamus was obviously written off TV recently to get married. And so I don't really see the Brawling Brutes being the ones who dethrone the Usos, especially because the Usos are coming up on becoming the longest reigning tag team champions in WWE history. And I think for where they're headed with the bloodline, they're going to want the Usos to break that streak. So I'm going Usos over the Brawling Brutes, but I think this match has a ton of potential. Pete Dunne is absolutely fantastic. And I'm going to be honest, I kind of just want to see Pete Dunne go absolutely nuts in this match. All right, let's get this one out of the way. Braun Strowman and Omos. Okay, to be completely honest, I do think there is some just general appeal in two large men beating each other up for 5 minutes. I can't imagine this match goes much longer than that. Braun Strowman is actually pretty decent in the ring. I mean, he's a lot better than when he first came up. Omos, I don't think, has shown really any improvement over the last year and a half, 2 years, however long it's been. My God, he teamed with AJ Styles. You guys remember AJ Styles was trapped in a tag team with this guy. If you don't improve in the ring after teaming with AJ Styles for like a year, I really don't know what to say. I think since Braun is just coming back, this is going to be a win for him. I think they're just going to turn this into like a two guys smashing into each other for 5 minutes match. I know Braun Strowman is a very strong man. I don't know if he's strong enough to actually do his finisher on Omos because Omos is even bigger than Braun Strowman. It is an absolute spectacle to see these two stand right next to each other. So I think from that standpoint, this could actually be an interesting match. But once the bell rings, I just see this being really sloppy. And Braun Strowman, as good as he is for a big man, I just don't think there's any saving Omos right now. And I think Strowman's going over. Maybe it's going to be a close match, but I think if they're going to book this the right way, just have Braun run him over and pin him for the 1, 2, 3. One of the matches I am really looking forward to, the OC versus the Judgment Day. The Judgment Day, I am starting to take them seriously. They're starting to grow on me. I love Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Sub Mysterio, and Rhea Ripley, although I don't know how involved Rhea's going to be in this match just because it's in Saudi Arabia. And hey, man, they got the Bullet Club back together, right? AJ, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows. That's really cool to see. And, you know, this match kind of reminds me of some of the Triple H matches that he would book on takeovers because I don't really think there's an issue with either team winning. I think that if you want to keep Judgment Day strong, then they should probably go over. Also because I think it's kind of clear that they have the weak link in this match in terms of Dom Mysterio. He's not awful in the ring. He's just not that good compared to the other 5 guys in this match. You could play off that a little bit if you want to play off the weak link and maybe AJ gets the win. I think that's what's tough is that I would also love to see AJ win a match because he's kind of been a loser on Raw a lot over the last few years. And it would be cool to see him and his boys pick up a W. I don't know. I think if honestly, I'm leaning Judgment Day because I do want to see that group do well. I want to see Finn Balor do well. And I think it would mean more for them to get a win because if I'm being honest, I still think there is a large majority of the audience that does not take this group seriously. And I think beating AJ Styles is legit. And regardless, no matter who they were in the match with, I think they just have to keep winning matches because I think Judgment Day is sort of at a point where they need to just rack up wins. You need to show them visibly winning their matches, whether it's dirty, clean, whatever, I don't care. But if you want that group to eventually be taken seriously by more people, by more fans, then I think they have to go over in this match. So I am going with Judgment Day. Drew McIntyre, Karrion Kross, Steel Cage. These are 2 good wrestlers. This could be a fun match. Karrion Kross just ain't working. He's just not clicking for me. He didn't click for me in NXT, and it doesn't make sense. This is so strange because in theory, this guy should be, Brock Lesnar 2.0. He's got the look. He's got a crazy entrance. Karrion Kross has one of the best entrances currently in all of wrestling, I would argue. And he's just boring. And I don't know. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know how many people feel this way. Karrion Kross, to me, is not clicking. I think this feud was designed to try to get him over. They already gave him a win, even though it was kind of a fluky win at Extreme Rules. But I think, honestly, if you want Drew McIntyre to eventually be back in the main event with Roman or whoever ends up dethroning Roman Reigns, if you want Drew to eventually be that main eventer, I think you got to put him over in the steel cage. I also think the steel cage match is just one of those matches that you can kind of get away with sort of a screwy finish where Drew wins. Maybe you do something like, the cage doors open and, Karrion Kross is trying to climb out that, but Drew climbs over the cage and his feet touch the ground first. You could do a photo finish type of thing if you want to keep Karrion sort of strong, because I could definitely see a scenario where Scarlett either opens the gate for him or tries to, slow Drew down or something so that it's very close. But I think Drew needs to win this match. That's my pick. I would not be surprised if Karrion Kross wins just because that is clearly one of Triple H's boys. I don't see him pulling the plug on Karrion Kross, but I think unless he wants to really force this Karrion Kross thing even further, and it's already not really going anywhere, I think you gotta give Drew the win here because he took the pin to Roman, then he took the pin to Karrion, and I feel like you can only pin Drew McIntyre so many times before you got to give him a win. And it sucks that it's just not working with Karrion Kross right now. I don't know if it's never going to work. I think maybe you could just, have him do something else for a little bit. Karrion Kross versus Walter. That could be a crazy match, but I also want to see Drew McIntyre versus Walter. So I do think that Drew needs to go over in this match, and that's going to be my pick. Okay, so we've got the Raw Women's title match here. Bianca versus Bayley. I'm going Bianca. I do think Bianca Belair has somehow turned into one of the most boring babyface women's champions in a long time, which is saying a lot because Ronda Rousey was champion for like a year, and she was mind-numbingly boring as a babyface. And for someone as charismatic as Bianca Belair, I don't really know how we got here other than the fact that she doesn't have a story. She has never had a story as the champion during this entire time. She's just been the babyface champion. That is a death sentence to any sort of babyface champion. That cannot be your only storyline. There's got to be more going on. And it's hurt her. Fortunately for Bianca, Bayley has an actual storyline, and it just does not making any sense. I was all about this new faction, and the only worry I had was that Bayley, Io, and Dakota are incredible singles competitors, and I wanted to see them face each other rather than be in the same group, because the problem with a faction like that is that you're not going to get those matches. You're going to instantly take three of your top performers, arguably three of your top performers, and put them in a position where they're never going to face each other, which I just think is kind of a strange choice. Although the group seemed badass, but from the beginning, it just sort of felt like they were either afraid to pull the trigger on them as like a really badass stable, or they just were not sure where to go with them from the beginning. And now we're in a tough spot because while I do think Bianca's going to win, I think that Bayley also has to win because Bayley has been losing a lot. I mean, she's pinned Bianca at the show in the UK, Clash of the Castle. But it was a tag team match, and, you know, they had to hit her with like a bunch of finishers and all that. It's just kind of it's been weird. It's like she's pinning Bianca when it doesn't really matter, and they're using those pins to give her title matches, but then Bianca wins the titles matches, but then Bayley gets another like weird random pin, and she gets another titles match. It's at a weird point. Some of this is not their fault, right? Like Becky's hurt, Charlotte is somewhere, and, you know, Io and Dakota are part of Bayley's team, so they're not going to face Bianca, although that would be kind of interesting if maybe Io wins a shot and then Bayley gets jealous. I don't know if they want to break the team up already, although I wouldn't be against it at this point. And so it's kind of strange. I think, you know, here's the thing. This is a crown jewel show. I don't know how big the viewership's going to be. You could do a double DQ. You could get away with a double count out and just sort of do something else at Survivor Series, maybe, if you want to chuck these people into a War Games match and, you know, find a few more people to toss in. This would probably be a decent time to do a double DQ, or Bayley gets DQ'd or something, because I don't think Bayley can afford to lose again. I also don't think Bianca should lose because her title run has been kind of weird and she deserves better. And I also think, you know, you kind of want to see Bianca and Becky again. I think they would like to do that match more than Bayley Becky or Bayley Charlotte, just, you know, kind of matches that don't have quite as much juice. But I'm going Bianca, and I think if there's ever a time to do a double TQ, this is probably that time. The next one I wanted to talk about was Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley. I think this is an easy Brock Lesnar win. I cannot see a scenario where Bobby Lashley, who just lost a match, is now going to turn around and pin Brock Lesnar. I do think they could do something with, like, maybe Bobby's not 100%. I don't know if they want to go that route. But I think that Brock is probably here to collect a check and deliver a couple of F5s, win the match. Now, I will say, to give Bobby a chance, and this is just like a behind-the-scenes booking thing that could potentially give Bobby Lashley a win. I don't know if Brock Lesnar has any other matches coming up after this. And Bobby Lashley absolutely has more matches coming up after this. So if you wanted Bobby Lashley to look strong, he should win so that he remains at the top of the card. Now, that being said, losing to Brock Lesnar because of how well Brock Lesnar's been built over the last several years, that does not automatically push you down the card because Brock Lesnar is a fucking monster. But if ever there was a chance to give Bobby a win, because Brock has already beaten him in the WWE title match from 2 years ago, I think, at Royal Rumble, this is not the worst place to do it. Also because, depending on what they want to do, this could be a massive Mania rematch. If you want to do a rubber match at WrestleMania between these two and it's 1-1, and you know Bobby has been gunning for Brock Lesnar since he rejoined WWE, he's wanted this match. I think that you could build a WrestleMania feud out of this, but Bobby would have to win. I think Brock's going to win. I think that's my pick. And even then, you could build Bobby becoming obsessed with beating Brock Lesnar and maybe challenges him at Mania. But I think Brock's going to win and disappear and maybe come back at Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns, Logan Paul for the undisputed WWE title. I think this is a weird match, but here's the thing. Roman is 100% going to win, right? There's no scenario where Logan Paul beats Roman Reigns for the title. There is a scenario where Logan Paul beats Roman Reigns by some sort of screwy DQ. I mean, again, like I talked about this Saudi Arabia show, sort of a house show situation. I wouldn't be surprised to see them pull something like that. I think Logan's going down with his shoulders on the mat. 1, 2, 3. I don't really know if there will be any shenanigans because the way they've been building this match is that Roman is not taking Logan seriously. So it would not surprise me if he says to the rest of the bloodline, like, I don't need you there. I got this on my own. Like, I'm not going to get knocked out. I'm going to smash him, which is something interesting Roman's been saying, is that he smashes people. Everybody that gets in the ring, he makes sure he smashes them, which is great for Roman. I do think that he's going to win rather convincingly, but I do think there'll be some good near falls. And as much as people dislike this Logan Paul skipping the line to get a match with Roman Reigns, I think that it's being done at the best possible show you could do it at, which is one that doesn't really matter. And in the 2 matches that he has had, Logan Paul, and it pains me to admit this, he is good at wrestling, and it looks like he was born to be in the WWE. It pains me to say that, but this man is extremely talented, and there's a part of me that is excited to see him and Roman mix it up in the ring. The only downside is that I think it is almost impossible to make it seem like Logan has any chance to win. And I think because of that, the direction they've chosen to go is Roman's going to underestimate him, or maybe Roman underestimates him too much and Logan is able to win the WWE undisputed title. Although I think it's tough because I don't think that there's any real way that people are going to buy Logan winning. You could do like a visible pin and the ref is knocked out sort of thing, although that's kind of cheap because, again, you'd be suggesting that Roman was going to lose the championship to Logan Paul, which I just don't see happening. But I do think this will be a good match. I think this match, the OC, the Usos Brawling Brutes match, all have the potential to be classics. I think that Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar have the potential to just be kind of like Brock Lesnar and Goldberg were a couple years ago at Mania, where it was just 5 minutes of action figures smashing into each other and everybody's hitting finishers. And that's just awesome because it's just like a bunch of explosions, like a Michael Bay's version of a wrestling match. So I think there are some solid matches on this card. I think that, the good thing about Trips is that he's going to let people just go out and wrestle. And most interestingly, Bray Wyatt will be there. We don't know what part of the show he's going to be on. We don't know if he's going to close the show. We don't know if he's going to open the show. I think maybe the end of the Roman Reigns Logan Paul match might dictate where they decide to place Bray, because if you place him at the end, that's what people are going to be talking about. If you place him at the beginning, that's what people are going to be talking about. So you want to put him in a position where you know that he's not going to overshadow too much whatever is around him on the card. So it'll be interesting to see. And let me know what you guys think about the Bray Wyatt stuff so far. I'm excited to see that he is back in the WWE. Those are my crown jewel predictions. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Appreciate you on Anchor, Spotify, YouTube, all the new subscribers that we've gotten over the last few months. It means the world. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.